So what you want to do is show yourself, pick topics where you can feel better just because you want to. That's really what focus wheels are about. That's the way that Esther has been using focus wheels. When something happens that doesn't feel good, she can usually within a few minutes focus wheel it into a place of feeling better. But she's been doing it for a while. So let's pick another subject that is less tense but still a little troubling and show you what we mean. Anything been bothering you that's not death defying? Anything been bothering you that doesn't feel as big as that?
Maybe my business, just to build my business and how I build my business.
That's a good topic. Are you self-employed?
Yes.
And do you have employees?
One.
And how's that going?
Pretty good.
Anything ever bother you about that?
Yeah.
What? Now, you see how we chose a topic that's less?
Yeah.
So there's contrast in it.
So I absolutely adore what I do. I love it. I feel better than...
Yeah, but get to the dirt.
Get to the bad stuff, right? So basically, I love what I do and I'm very good at it, but the finances aren't where I want them to be.
Well, we want to talk about the employee.
Okay.
Because that's lighter. Because on a scale of troubling and not so troubling, really troubling the subject of Alzheimer's.
Right.
Not that troubling, but still troubling the subject of finances. But way less troubling getting along with somebody. So let's take that lighter getting along with somebody subject and let's practice the vibrational soothing that we're talking about. So
very impressive.
So is there anything about that causes you some consternation or discord?
Not really. Not really. I mean, we get along great and she does a good job. No, the only thing that bothered me a little bit is that she took a 3-week vacation. So I had to do her job, but that was really about it. We get along really well. All right,
so that was a little inconsiderate.
Right.
A little inconsiderate. It caused a little taxing on your part.
Right.
It could have been different, but you already did the soothing on that. So tell us how you soothed that and tell us why you soothed that. Because we had to poke you to get you to even call it a problem because you'd done such a good job of soothing it. So tell us how you soothed that. Tell us the day that you really wished that she had been there. What was going on that day?
Oh, I was overwhelmed. All
right, so you were overwhelmed. The tendency was to then focus on the condition that seemed to have caused or exacerbated the overwhelmment.
Right.
So you did that for a moment, but that didn't feel good because your overall intention is to appreciate this person, and you mostly do appreciate this person.
Yes.
And you know that this person deserves to have some time off, and you want this person to have a life of her own, and you want her to feel happy in her world, and you know that nothing really went terribly wrong, and there were things that you didn't have to do that she caught up with later, and some of what her work was, you left it for her to catch up later, and you only did the things that really mattered, and you were able to do it, and it gave you better insight into what she was actually doing. In other words, you feel how that's soothing that, and we're not saying any of this outside of what you already figured out. That's how you soothed yourself. Well, it's exactly the same thing that you want to do with these other issues. It was just easier to do it with this issue because this person could be replaced with another person. The stakes don't feel high in that case. So it's easy for you to soothe that. But the finances, the stakes feel higher. And the physical life experience, the stakes feel higher. But they're not. It's all exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you're soothing yourself over light and easy things or whether you're soothing yourself over things that feel more like a struggle or whether you're soothing over things that just sort of take your breath away when you think about them. Learning to soothe will serve you no matter what. So we would consciously soothe. So anything else ever come up? Traffic bother you?
No, not really.
The only thing that bothers you is finances and Alzheimer's?
Pretty much. Those are the big things.
Well, then you are already a self-soother. You're already a self-soother. You know what to do. So let's take the finance thing.
Okay.
So poke at it where it's uncomfortable for a moment.
Summertime especially, because my business drops a lot. And the way my business is, I'm pretty much the one that does all the work. I train dogs. And so it's my physical time where I make my money. And so, but I only have so much time in the day, so if I want to increase my income, I have to find other ways of doing.
Or teach other people to do the same thing that you're doing.
Right. I've done that before too.
So
So, well, what I did was I didn't keep them with me. I train trainers and I send them on their way, and they pay me for that.
So make some statements that sort of poke at the discord that you're feeling about business. Summertime business drops off.
Summertime business drops off.
What's a self-soothing statement that you can make?
That
Summer doesn't last.
I was just going to say.
Summer doesn't last. Business picks up. There are other things that I can do. I can figure some things out. I always have. How long have you been doing this?
16 years.
So I have a steady pattern. I now know things that I haven't known before. I'm doing better vibrational work. The dogs who I'm training have taught me that.
Yep.
I've learned through experience how to communicate with them better. They have taught me the very thing that I'm asking about here.
Yep.
They've taught me about alignment coming first.
Yep.
I've shown myself that in interacting with them, I have to deal with the vibration first and then. And when I do that, I have success, and when I don't, I don't. And so the very nature of my work is giving me the practiced basis that I'm reaching for here. I think it's why I've enjoyed that so much. Dealing with animals is much more pleasurable than dealing with humans.
Most of the time.
Because they are more consistent in these laws of the universe.
Yeah.
The majority of the trouble that I've had in my business has not been with the animals, it's been with their owners. And much of the training that I'm doing is not just with the animal, it's suggestions to the owner. I'm actually teaching them how to be steadier in their vibration before they move forward. And so everything that I need to know about this ease relative to finances or Alzheimer's, I already know and am practicing on a daily basis. So I just need to take the same patterns that I already know and apply it to that.
Okay.
So what's the difference? This is the thing that we really want to have this conversation with you. It will benefit everyone. What's the difference between your expectation of results in the training of the dog and your expectation of the results relative to your relationship with Alzheimer's? What's the difference?
There's fear over here.
But why? Because fear is the difference of opinion.
Right.
But why? What is it that you're focused upon?
Of the observation of it?
With the dogs, where's your expectation?
I mean, I can communicate completely clearly with them.
But do you communicate with them not expecting it to work?
No, I always expect it to work.
And so you expect them to be cooperative components.
Yes.
So you trust the process of focus, and you know that when you get aligned and project that focus, that it is going to affect the outcome. But you don't believe that relative to the other, because the people in your family are not cooperative like these dogs are.
That's, I guess, where it comes down to it.
So what would you do? So what's the difference? The dog, you expect to be able to impose your opinion. Your family, you don't, do you? In other words, they've all got minds of their own. So do you think that the dog has less of a mind of its own? Is the dog's mind more moldable than the relatives' minds? Or is your expectation of their alignment greater?
Definitely.
Well, that's worth thinking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's why you have to be willing to be unconditional. Have you ever had an untrainable dog?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And yet there are untrainable humans all around you.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, they all think the same way. And so,
So what might you do in order to hold your vibration where it is with your dogs? It's a trick question, so be careful. Focus on the dogs. Because when you focus over there, you lose your connection. Don't focus on there, focus over here. When you focus over there, you lose your connection, focus over here. When you focus over there, you lose your connection, so don't focus over there, focus over here. Until you remember that, your power of influence. Now, we're not talking so much about your power of influence with others. We're talking about your power of influence with your own self. We want you to discover for yourself the confidence of alignment that you have when you're training these beasts. when you are focused upon something that feels out of your control. That's what unconditional alignment is. You take the condition out of it and gain the control. Take the condition out of it and gain the control. Take the condition out of it and gain the control. And soon you have such expectation that then you can look anywhere. But until you do, you just can't.
So do I need to try to obviously avoid anything that has to do with the Alzheimer's until I'm feeling...
Or maybe just dart in or out.
Connected.
So let's ask you another question. This will be telling. Let's say that you have a friend and their whole family is having the Alzheimer's experience, but yours isn't. It's not your family, it's somebody else's family. Would it bother you so much then?
No.
So why does this bother you so much? Because it feels personal.
Right.
Because it makes you feel vulnerable.
Correct.
So we'll ask you again, have you ever met a dog you couldn't train?
No.
Well, then we think you ought to be able to train yourself, don't you? Don't
Well,
you?
yeah, I think so. I guess I need a little bit of guidance as far as a relative that is taking care of my sister, and I have to kind of avoid her. Well, I can't avoid her because I have to deal with my sister, but she's very strong personality and telling me, oh, you're going to get it, and all that stuff. And so I don't want to hear her until I'm at a stable footing. So is there anything...
Well, what you want to do is just bring yourself back into alignment the best you could. In other
Okay, I
words,
see what you're
there have
saying.
been people who told me that that dog couldn't be trained. There have been people who've brought dogs to me who've said there's no possible way that this dog can be trained. Most people bring me very problematic dogs, and yet it always works out because I have this thing that I do. And so I'm different. Everybody can't train dogs like I do. Everybody doesn't have the point of focus that I have. I understand the vibrational nature of us. The condition is about vibration. The condition is always about vibration. The condition is about intentionality. We are all individual with that, you see. I have my own unique relationship with my own inner being. I've always been more sensitive. I've always been more focused. I am much more focused than anyone else in my family. I wouldn't turn even my easiest dog over to my sister to train. Not even my easiest one. She would convince my easiest dog that it too has Alzheimer's. It's about finding your steady place, and then you can go anywhere. Once you find your steady place, then you can go anywhere. And when you can go anywhere, then you can be 80 feet up in the air, feeling the exhilaration of what you're seeing rather than being too afraid to get in the basket and go. So many people hold themselves back from wonderful, wonderful things because they haven't practiced the steady vibration. So all kinds of things are scary. But once you know you're steady, sometimes it takes contrast to know that. But once you know you're steady, then you can go anywhere. Then you can sit with these people you love and not feel guarded. Part of what makes her come back to you is that you're standing there sort of in horror and sort of flinching and sort of worrisome, and so it makes her feel defensive, and she doesn't understand how it happened or what to do about it. And so when you're standing solid on anything, can't you take a conversation from somebody else about it and it doesn't upset you? But if you're tentative about something and somebody hits your hot button, that's what hot buttons are. Hot buttons are when you've got an insecurity and somebody else is living it, and law of attraction is sort of putting you together in this moment because it's a vibrational match, and then they say something that pushes your button. That's a perfect law of attraction moment, isn't it? So you want to say, thanks, sis. You have reminded me that I've got some vulnerability going on that isn't natural to who I really am. I'm going to go back to the things that I'm steady about, and eventually it is our promise to you that that and any other thing will not be frightening to you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This is a good time for a segment of